one of the most celebrated and revered country singers ever.
Liar, liar, the world's on fire. What you gonna do when it all burns?
A true triple threat, song, stage, and screen.
Get your scummy hands off of me.
From Hollywood to Dollywood. And with over 100 million albums sold and countless awards, here she comes again. She's teamed up with the biggest names in rock and roll for a new record. And she has a new book all about her one-of-a-kind fashions.
That's what I think is so fascinating about the book, that it just really takes people on that journey with me.
On the Red Carpet Icons celebrates Dolly Parton.
So you're born in this one-room cabin on the banks of this river, right? And there's this story that you can corroborate that your father paid the missionary who delivered you a sack of cornmeal.
Yeah, because my dad was a sharecropper, and most people in the mountains, we didn't have money for sure. Hardly anybody had money, so the doctor, Dr. Thomas, was a Methodist missionary that had been sent to the Smokies to take care of the poor people there. But most kids were born at home. But Mom was having a little trouble with me, so Daddy had rode out to bring Dr. Thomas in to help with me, and so Daddy paid him with cornmeal, and I make my joke that I've been raking in the dough ever since. But that's the truth about me being bought with a sack of cornmeal.
But then you wrote a song about it.
I wrote a song about Dr. Robert F. Thomas was a mighty, mighty man. Anyway, it was about how he delivered, all the babies in eastern Tennessee, and among those babies he delivered me, because he was a good man. He was a preacher, and he just walked those hills or rode those hills on horseback, because cars wouldn't go back into some of those places, the most rural areas, and that's where we lived in the early days. So, but yeah, I wrote a song about him, and now we have the Robert F. Thomas Foundation in Sevierville, and I'm a very big part of that too.
There's a line I like in your book that I thought really speaks to me, and this is what it is. If there's one positive thing about being poor, it makes a person more creative.
Well, that's true, and being from the rural parts of the country too, because you don't have all the stuff that you have, that a lot of people have when they're farther out. But I was always very creative, and in my mind, I lived in other places all the time. But I loved the country because there was always so many things to do. Like I'd create my own makeup out of berries and burned matches to make eyebrows and all that. And so, and make jewelry out of the berries and all the stuff in the woods. So there's a lot of truth in that.
I think that as much as you loved your life and loved your upbringing and loved the people you were with, the day after graduation, I know you moved to Nashville, you found success as a songwriter, but then that other success came. Do you consider Porter Wagoner as the big break?
If teardrops were pennies and heartaches were gold.
Yes, absolutely. I'd had a couple of top 10 records, and I was already on my way. A man named Fred Foster had taken a great interest and invested money in trying to build me as a star, and Porter had seen me on TV and had heard about this new girl in town. And of course, Porter's the girl, Norma Jean, that was on Porter's show, she was going to marry and move back to Oklahoma City. And so Porter came to me, and he had the #1 syndicated country show at that time, and it was a big, huge break for me. So that really was what got me started.
There's something about this book that is so incredible, and it all connects. It's very smartly done.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm very proud of this. I did a book before, and I talked about where I was, what I was thinking and how I wrote these songs. And in this, I talk about how I felt in the clothes, why I had it made, what was going on at the time, and where I wore them, have pictures of me wearing them in Hollywood or shows or movies. But I think people find that fascinating. I know I always did with other people's things. I thought it was so fascinating to read and hear about the stars and what their life was like.
The early fashion that you talk about in the book, your mom's dresses out of flour sacks that she adorned in rickrack, and I started thinking, these are dresses simply made with 100% love.
And 100% cotton.
Yeah.
And no rhinestones inside. But, you know, it's like a lot of the country people, you know, they would, it's just sort of like how in the old days when they had washing detergent, you know, in the boxes where you could get them, and then they got to where they put towels in them and all that. But our feed sacks, although they made clothes out of feed sacks before they had the beautiful designs, but boy, we thought we'd died and gone to heaven when they started putting floral prints on these feed sacks to feed the cattle and to feed the, you know, the stuff. So, and then like you mentioned, the little rickrack. But Mama, she made all our clothes anyhow. But yeah, it was, you know, we wore those dresses proudly. We were always glad to get a new dress of any kind. But I couldn't wait to get something else.
Something special. In those early days, you didn't have the fashions like you have behind you, but you still took the stage as a teenager. Where did you get your confidence when you didn't have some of these gorgeous clothes that you wear now?
Well, I had a lot of inner confidence, and I was always surrounded, you know, with good people. My Uncle Bill Owens, who took great pride in me, he found me fascinating in how I could write and all that, and he took an interest and would take me around to sing at different shows. So my confidence was there in my talent and in my Uncle Bill's faith in me. But of course I wanted fancy clothes, but I didn't. But Mama and different neighbors or different relatives would make little things that they thought would be more appropriate for the stage. Like I do in the book, there's one little bolero, a little jacket. And I was so tiny wearing my little bolero. It was made out of red satin. I don't know, probably some of Mama's scraps that people used to send her. Probably some of the same ones she made my coat out of. But she made me a little Western style jacket and all that. So we tried to fix me up, but I knew that I was going to have it one day if my dreams all came true.
Coming up, Dolly teams up with some of rock's biggest names.
Wouldn't it be great to use Ringo's Starr? Peter Frampton played the guitar on that same track, and Mick Fleetwood played percussion.
But first, Dolly lets us in on her favorite fashion secrets.
Ah, that is Rick Rack. That looks like Rick Rack.
I don't have to knock twice. This feels so right. Just being here with you again.
8 instruments and your voice, so I consider that 9 instruments. More than 3,000 songs, and you write every day. And you've been writing every day since you were 7 years old, pretty much?
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
It is, I know. Well, music is part of our family. My mother's people were all really, really talented, and we were the family, even back before me. They did all the singing at the church and at funerals and at shindigs and pie suppers and all that, and we did too. We all played instruments, and we could all sing, and anybody would come around, I'd make them show me chords on the guitar. And so when I was 7, I got pretty good on the guitar. And when I got pretty good on the guitar, then I got pretty good at writing songs. Because I had a gift of rhyme. You know, I just loved rhyming words. And then, of course, I'd hear all these serious conversations about Uncle Bob that lost a leg in the war, and this other boy that never got home, and how his mother went crazy because, you know. So I was writing all these dreadful, god-awful songs with all these heavy messages at 7 years old, like I had lived it myself. Because in my mind, I hear it, and I just take it and claim it, and you know, my imagination just puts me right there. And that's how I still write. I just am moved by things.
In the early 80s, Dolly headed to Hollywood and starred in some iconic movies. The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with Burt Reynolds, Rhinestone with Sylvester Stallone, Steel Magnolias with Sally Field, Shirley MacLaine, and Julia Roberts, and, of course, 9 to 5 with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. In 2006, Roger Ebert and I talked with Dolly on the red carpet at the Oscars, where she was nominated for the original song Travelin' Through from the movie Transamerica.
You going to sing that song tonight?
Well, yes, I am. I'm so excited about that. I haven't got nominated. Whether I win or not, I feel like a winner getting to sing it on
You were nominated too for 9 to 5.
Yes, I was. That was 26 years ago. I didn't win then, and I may not win tonight, but I'm looking forward to being on it.
I call you almost an EGOT because you have got the Grammys and then you've got the Emmy Tony, and Oscar nominations. So that's kind of cool. And then your CMA history is awesome. And I know one of the only women ever winning Entertainer of the Year. It's a handful of women. So I like that you're part of that history.
The fact that all these young women and all these young stars say that I've inspired them, it makes me feel real good. It makes me feel like I might have done something right along the way. And I love what I do, and I hope to be doing it from now on. I hope they don't think because they gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award, they thought I was done. No way that's going to happen. And I just love what I do, and I'm just so grateful that I've had a chance to make a living out of what I love to do. I'd be singing in a bar if I hadn't have made it.
I have lost track of all the honors you have received in your life.
So have I.
Is there one that sticks out?
Oh, well, actually, they all do. I appreciate all of them. But I think being a songwriter and taking so much pride in that, I think when I got put into the Country Music Songwriters Hall of Fame, that was a big deal. But then I got put into the big one, up there with the big guys, the biggest of all, the Gershwins and all that. And so to me, that was one of the great things. And then the Kennedy Center honors, that was pretty special too. So, but they're all important because they all kind of track my life, and they're all steps, and it's like you never get so many that you don't appreciate what you got. But there have been a lot. But Lordy, look how long I've been in the business.
How long
6
is that?
decades.
Yeah, I had six
Yeah.
decades. Wow. Do other country stars like to comment on your clothes
Yeah,
to you?
of course. A lot of them imitate a lot of my clothes. Some of the new ones, they like to say, "Well, I like to shine too." And you made me think, well, if you're going to be a star, you need to shine. So a lot of them like the clothes. But yeah, they all comment on them. They always. And I started with just having local people sew for me here in Nashville when I started with Porter, and then of course through the years I've graduated where I've been able to have some of the beautiful clothes by some of the greatest designers in Hollywood, and doing the movies and all. So it's been a great life.
One of the designers, I liked what he said about your clothes in the book. It's just all about joy. And there's something about joy that makes you feel good, that lifts you up. You've been doing that for a long time.
Well, I've been doing my best because I really do love what I do. And as you said, I was born with a happy heart. It gets heavy sometimes. It's not, always as joyful as I'd like it to be because like I mentioned, we all go through our things with life's troubles and heartaches and family and all that. But my heart is good. And that my mama told me that when I was little, and I always believed it. And I'll always try to keep it good if I can.
I think we have seen it. What I wrote, one of my notes here, you can see at the bottom there, because I took a lot of notes.
You better read it. I don't have my glasses. I said I've been around for 6 decades. You think my eyes are that sharp?
It says, "You make me smile."
Oh, that's sweet. Now let me see it and I can tell you what that says. You make me smile. Well, thank you.
Next, Dolly rocks with a little help from some friends.
So I'm going to name some names, and you can stop whenever you want to talk about any of them. Paul McCartney.
Well, who don't want to talk about Paul McCartney? We are the champions, my friends.
I want to move on to your Rockstar album because I feel like it's been a long time coming. It's been percolating a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But then you see, it's an album with 30 songs. I know 9 are original, 21 rock anthems that we know. Mm-hmm. But did everyone you asked say, "Yes, Dolly," and then other people called and said, "Can I be in it too?" To have 30 songs?
Yeah, a lot of them did call, and I did call some of them, and some I didn't get because of our schedules, and they were involved or on tour, and we couldn't to meet the deadline. But everybody I asked sincerely said they'd love to do it, and I believe they meant it. If not, they're good actors as well as good singers. But anyway, it was a joyful thing to do. The reason it came about is, of course, the reason I loved rock, because my husband's a huge rock fan. And then, of course, it was when they wanted to put me in the Rock Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I didn't think I'd earned that, and I kind of balked a little bit about it, and they did it anyway. I figure if I'm going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm going to have to earn it. now's the time. If I'm ever going to do it, timing is everything. So I just decided to do it and just did it within 8 months.
So I'm going to name some names, and you can stop whenever you want to talk about any of them. Paul McCartney.
Well, I mean, who don't want to talk about Paul McCartney? I mean, I love that song, and I was going to do Let It Be anyway. And then I thought, well, I wonder if he'd do it. And so I called him, and he said, I'd love to, because I'd met him a few times here and there. So I felt a little more comfortable asking him because I kind of knew him a little better. And he said he'd love to do it. And then after he did it, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to use Ringo Starr playing the drums, because that's the last of the Beatles. And he said he'd be glad to do it. And not only that, a couple of our friends came by. Peter Frampton played the guitar on that same track, and Mick Fleetwood played percussion, you know, like they got in there together. So, I mean, to me, that is just that group of people without that wonderful, iconic song, which I think that song has a wonderful message as well. So that's really one big ball of everything.
And Elton John.
And Elton John, I love Elton John. Now, a lot of people don't know, he loves country music. And one time, years ago, we were he was singing with me on the CMAs. I did Imagine. And he played piano and sang with me on it.
Possession. Or just imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. Oh, I wonder if we even can.
And so that night, we were there for a couple of days rehearsing and all. And every time back in the dressing room, he'd start singing all these great old classic country songs like Behind Closed Doors and Make the World Go Away. And wow. I knew we sounded so good. And I loved the Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And so I called him up and said, you want to sing with me? And he said, do I ever? So anyway, I thought that turned out really good.
But you wanted to do it, and you got this great support from the rock and roll community.
Yeah, I did, because I think they appreciated, for one thing, that I was a little bit, I didn't mean to start any controversy, but I just had said, look, there are people out there that spent their whole life in rock like I have in country. I'll take anything they give me in country because I feel that I would have earned it as much as anybody else. But I thought there's so many people out there that's waiting and dreaming and hoping to get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and now they're going to put my little white butt in there, you know, and your country, my little country white butt. And so I think they appreciated me standing up about that. And then I wrote a song just for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame about why and how that I grew up loving Elvis and rock and roll. It wasn't new to me, but, you know, so I just talked about here I am, accepting it. I really worked hard because I really wanted to do good. I wanted the rock world to be proud of me. And of course, I know my country fans will be because they love it when I do different things, so they don't resent it. And I'm so old now, they just think, oh, Lord, let her just humor her. Let her do what she does, you know, she's going to do it anyhow.
Oh, I love it.
So I feel, you know, like it's a good thing for all of us.
In 1986, Dolly went from Hollywood to Dollywood, opening her own theme park in Silver Dollar City, Tennessee, where there is a replica of the singer's childhood home, live shows, and some wild rides, though you won't catch Dolly on any of them. She gets motion sickness.
I love that you've given to children's hospitals, you've given to help HIV, AIDS, you have helped the victims of the Smoky Mountain wildfires. This is just a small portion. You also have the Imagination Library.
Oh, books, books. I love books. Yes.
And tell me what it's been like to hear people come to you to say, I was a part of that and it changed my life because...
It's called the Imagination Library. It's where we give books to children from the time they're born. They get a little book in the mail with their name on it at once a month until they start school. And they love the fact that their little name is on it. So they're going to really get in and make somebody read with them and whatever. So I really feel like that if you can read, then you can conquer anything. My own dad couldn't read and write, and that's why I got involved in this, because I got my dad involved with me, and he was so proud to see this program come to life. And so I'm just proud that we've been able to get like over 200 million books in the hands of 200 million kids. I mean, that's saying a lot. That makes me very proud. I'm as proud of that as anything I've ever done.
Well, I mean, aside from that, you've donated money for a vaccine. You've given a lot to a lot of people, so I've come to give you a little something.
Okay, great.
Here's some fun stuff. This is on the red carpet popcorn. I'm calling this a box of butterflies.
Okay.
There's one special thing in there that my wife found that's in a bag.
Okay.
And it goes back to your early fashion.
Well, I feel like it's my birthday.
This might be for you. Ah.
Whoa,
We're calling it
that.
Rhinestone Rick Rack.
Ah, that is Rick Rack. That looks like Rick Rack. Wow,
There are some
that's amazing.
hair items
And
in
look
there
at
and
all
the
that,
silly stuff,
yeah.
but butterflies are big.
all butterfly.
Here, this will open on one side. I'll take the other one back for you.
Okay, yeah.
This is, I know, just kind of silly. I like the box.
Wow, look at that. Wow, look at these. Look how they shine. And I got a red one. Wow, look at you.
But this is the real gift I'm bringing you, Dolly.
Okay.
I think you can see this, which I'm really happy to be able to give to you.
Dolly, ABC7 Los Angeles is donating 1,000 books to SoCal schools and charities in honor of all you've done for literacy. Oh, thank you so much. That's great. And look at all the little kids. That's a picture that we did years ago with the Imagination Library. Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, you can't top that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dolly.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you, and thank you. You're not taking my stuff back,
No,
are
I'm
you?
not.
Okay, this is great.
So-
So I'll have popcorn at lunch.
Okay.
and I'll dress up in this. I'll wear my rhinestone rickrack. That I'm gonna use that for something.
Good.